morning, everybody. We're so glad you're here. Let's all stand together. There is not a man or a beast, nothing on the land or underneath. Come between the love you have for me It's coming after me. Amen. Amen. You can have a seat. I think it's you. Yeah. Yeah, the order's all messed up today. I'm sorry.
Good morning. How's it going? I have so many thoughts before I'm supposed to, read announcements, and I will get to that. But you guys recognize the banner up here? Man, that's like old school nostalgia. Throwback. We call that the shower curtain. No, we really do. I will tell you what, Pastor Nick has impeccable taste in a lot of things, but design is not one of them. That is the ugliest. He's designed some pretty ugly shirts too, and he's not here to defend himself. There's nothing you can say. Hey, last time I was up here, I forgot I was on announcements. Lindsay made sure I didn't forget this time. She sent me an email in all caps. You are doing announcements. Do not be late. And so I got them with me. But if you're new or like new, I want to welcome you. My name is Nate Gibson. I am the business director here at the church. And we love meeting new guests. So as soon as you're ready, introduce yourself to us. There's cards, connect cards in every aisle. Fill them out. We'll help connect you to the next thing we got going on here at Emmaus Church. If you're online, you can fill out the registration or the connect card link in the chat box. And so that's that. The first two announcements I have are for youth. So if you're a youth or a parent of youth, you want to listen up. If you're not, you can just tune me out for a minute. The first thing is October 25th through 27th. We've been announcing this for some time. Is Asbury Hills Retreat. And it's a really fun time. We got a lot of kids signed up already. And the reason why this is so important is because some foundational things can happen when you're away, right? When you're away and you're being vulnerable with other youth, it's a really good place for foundational things to happen, but also it's a good place to get plugged in. So you feel a little more comfortable when you're associating with the other youth in the youth group. And so I would encourage you to do so. This is the last call. So go out to your app and sign up. Because of a generous donation, to scholarship every youth. It's only $85 a kid for two nights, 3 days. So I would encourage you, if that's something you're interested in doing, to sign up right away, and we'll get in touch with you with more information. The second thing is, in October, the youth are not going to meet at all. We're changing. There's a lot of transition going on in October as we get into the new building. And but starting in November, the junior high, or my son likes to tell me it's the middle school now. So did you guys call it junior high growing up? Yeah, I did. Maybe it's an Ohio thing, but it's the middle school and high schoolers will meet on Sunday nights in the church building, starting in November, and that's all for youth. The last thing I do want to update you on the building. We are super close. It is getting really close. Last week we had the asphalt laid down. We had striping on the asphalt. We had all the landscaping finished, which was the three final things to get CO. And now all we got to do is wait for the county to approve it. And so, who knows how long that'll take. It'll take some time between 2 weeks and 3 years. So, it's my experience. So we're working on it. We're really getting excited about it. This next weekend. Yeah. Next weekend will be our last weekend. And no, 2 more weekends will be. You threw me off, Denise. Oh, yeah. But in 2 more weeks, October 6th will be our last weekend in the River Center before we say goodbye forever. And then on October 13th, we will do a worship night, which is Sunday, October 13th. We'll do a worship night. And then our first service will be October 20th. So get ready, invite your friends. It's going to be a really great time. You know, a mentor of mine told me recently that the church, it's at its most beautiful, and it's at its best when it's first born. And then we screw it up from there. There's a lot of truth to that, right? And so one of the things that we've been really cognizant about doing, and we sat down, Jessica, you were there, and Trey was there, and Nick and I, like 5 years ago. And we kind of sat down and we organized the governance of Emmaus Church never to let us screw it up, right? Because we've seen too many people let it get there. And we were still idealistic at the time. So we were like, we wanted to do it now. We wanted to have the discipline now. And he went on to tell me, though, that he's so impressed about what we're doing because we were able to hold a lot of different views like this. And we're allowed to welcome a lot of people into the church that otherwise wouldn't feel welcome to come into the church. And so it's a really beautiful thing we have, and it's because of you. It's because of the way you hold your values and you hold your faithfulness, and it's the way that you are faithful to the church. And so as we, I'm going to invite the ushers up now, and I'd like us to resonate on that, what it means to be the church. Let's continue worship now with offering.
Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. No, he won't. I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I build my life on Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful in every season. So why would he fail now? Come on. He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't. No, no, no. He won't. My firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. Oh, lead us, Jesus. Lead us to solid ground. Rain came, a wind blew, and my house was built on you. I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. Sing that. Rain came, a wind blew, and my house was built on you. I'm safe with you, and I'm gonna He won't. He won't fail. No, he won't. He won't fail. No, he won't. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you. Oh, we'll do that again. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you, only God. You're the only one, the only one, Lord. You give life, you are love, you bring a light to the darkness. You give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord. Sing that verse again. You give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the dark. You give hope. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Yeah. Great are you, Lord. Your breath, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. It's your breath, it's your grace, your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, God, so we pour to you only. To you only, God, the only one worthy of it all. There's not a creature on earth, there's not a person on this earth that won't shout your name, that won't give praise to your name. We join in, Lord. We sing, all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you. No matter what affliction, no matter what, we sing, all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. Oh, stir these old bones up, Lord. Great are you, Lord. All the earth, and all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. Oh, we join worship this morning. We're wrung out for you, God. Fill us up with your grace. Fill us up with your mercy. Fill us up with your word. We're so thankful. In Jesus' name, amen. Turn to someone, greet them, make them feel welcome this morning. Amen.
Good morning. Was it just me, or was Thomas and the band on fire this morning? Holy moly, let's give them another hand. That was fantastic. My name is Jessica. I'm here to read the scripture this morning. I am reading Exodus chapter 18, verses 13 through 23. The next day, Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge, while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me. And I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and laws." Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who have come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice." That is such a father-in-law thing to do and say, isn't it? "Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice. And may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them the decrees and laws and show them the way to live and the duties they are to perform. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter because they share it with you. If you do this and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied. And may God add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and understanding of these scriptures." Y'all, we've got a really good message and a really special person bringing our message this morning. Anybody here struggle with boundaries and perhaps need a refresher on the importance of boundaries, setting and keeping them? Am I alone in that? I think not. And we're lucky because he's fresh off the European leg of his tour promoting his pop hit, "I'm in Love with Plastic Grocery Bags." So Mr. Randy Rush, if you'll come on up, and I hear you're going to perform it for us this morning if you got time. So y'all give Randy a warm welcome.
She didn't listen, did she, Jim? So, good morning. I am Randy Rush. I'm the executive director of the Courage Center. And we are a recovery community organization and nonprofit here in town. We help individuals and families with substance use and substance use disorders or addiction issues, as you might know it. So we've been going for a few weeks now on this new topic that Nick started a few weeks ago called Above the Fray, right? And it's all around this political discourse, the election coming up, and how do we stay above the nasty? And things can get nasty, right? And so the first week he talked about our allegiances. One of the ways that we stay above the fray is we make sure that our allegiances are as Jesus followers, not to any cause or any party. And then last week he gave some real good practical advice around how to have some of those conversations and do them in a positive way. We're going to turn a little bit more to continue on that practical bent. One of the things that Nick said last week, that these are important conversations, and I couldn't agree more. The great British theologian and author G.K. Chesterton said, "I never discuss anything except politics and religion. Nothing else matters." And that was my house, right? I grew up in a very family, very comfortable talking about politics. My dad was very involved in politics. He was very involved in religion. Sometimes we struggled to have some good conversations, but as long as we were talking about sports, religion, and politics, man, we could hang out all day long. It was really, really good. You know, there used to be really civil debate. Now, I know there's this phrase, when I start talking about how things used to be, I want y'all to just go, you ready? Okay, boomer. All right, you ready? Okay, good. There you go. There was actually a show on PBS hosted by William F. Buckley called Firing Line for 33 years. It was the longest running public affairs shows with a single TV host. Now, I want you to get this unbelievable concept. They had people from both parties, conservatives, liberals, all these people sit in a room and nobody called each other Nazi, communist, baby killer, antichrist. They had a moderator. It was set up like a debate. They would talk to each other like this: my esteemed colleague on the right, or the distinguished person on the left. Can you actually believe that happened? Today, that seems like a long, long time ago, doesn't it? 33 years. It was amazing. You know, part of the reason why this show could be civil, though, and part of the reason why the show was so successful, they had guidelines. They had rules. They had boundaries. Now, they couldn't control everybody and everything, but guess what? Probably if you got up there and you made of yourself, didn't follow the guidelines and the boundaries, you probably would not get invited back. Listen, even on CNN, back in the day, there was a show called Crossfire that was modeled after that. It ran for years and years and years. Person on the left, person on the right. Even Fox News had a show, Hannity and Combs, right? Person on the left, person on the right. I don't think there's much money in civil discourse anymore, so they did away with it. I mean, let's be honest, right? All those television shows, all those networks, all those people, they're not there to give us the news. They're not there to build unity and harmony. They're there to make money, right? And discord and telling everybody how politically divided that we are and it's the worst time ever. That's what sells for them. There was a time, Nick last week said, I don't think we're that far apart as we think we are or that we're told we are. Just a few months ago in July, there was a magazine, an article in Time magazine talked about the myth of polarization. This is one of the quotes. It said, "We are lousy at figuring out what people who are in the party or lean the opposite way from us actually believe, and this leads to the shared illusion that Americans are hopelessly divided. We are simply more alike and believe the same things are important." In the study they did, they found most people were center right, center left. When they talked about the things that were important, guess what? They were not that far apart. We want the same things. We tell people at the Courage Center when parents come in sometimes and they're not on the same page. Susan came up with this. She said, y'all do want the same thing. You want your loved one to be healthy. You want your loved one to be reaching their full potential. You want them moving forward in life. You may disagree on how you get there and how you help them get there. That's a policy disagreement, not a disagreement about where we want to be as a country or where we want to be as Americans. Unfortunately, there's people on the fringes, on the sides, and they sometimes have the loudest voices. And those loudest voices begin to crowd out everybody in the middle. And that's what we hear. And sometimes those with the loudest voices, they're not on TV. They're our uncle at Thanksgiving. They're our aunt that comes to the tailgate. Oh, man. And because of family and being from the South, we have to be nice. Do we have to invite her? Yes. Do we have to have him come? Yes. Man, and we go, all right, okay. How do we get through that? How do we have a good time or not a good time, but how do we get through that? In the biblical exposition or the scripture that Jessica read for us, Moses, when he was leading the Israelites out of Egypt, he had sent his wife and his 2 sons to Jethro in Midian, where Jethro was from and where his wife was from. And he says, it's not safe. Y'all need to go over there, and once we get out, I'll let you come, and you come connect with us. And so Moses is leading the Israelites out, and Jethro comes. He brings Moses' wife, which I'm sure he was glad to see. They have a great reunion, and he brings the kids. And Jethro's going to hang out and watch how Moses is doing this leadership thing. And he looks and he sees, Moses get there, and people are lined up. Now, there's millions of them, right? There's tons and tons of people. I can't imagine what this looked like. And all day long, Moses sat there, heard the disputes, and he had to make the decisions. Now, if I'm the Israelites, why wouldn't I want Moses to make the decisions, right? Moses is the one who saw God face to face. Man, he's got direct access. He's plugged in. I want to make sure I get a good judgment. I'm going to get Moses to make my decisions. Jethro's looking at that and going, bro, this ain't going to work. This is not sustainable. You're going to wear yourself out, and you're going to wear the people out. Nobody's going to be happy. You need to delegate. You need some boundaries, Moses. You appoint some other people. Let them start going through and handle these simple cases. You keep the hard ones. You're not practicing good self-care, Moses. You're not putting yourself and your family in a position of importance. You're over-functioning. You think it all depends on you. You have to do it all. Anybody relate to that? We don't have any over-functioners here, do we? Where does this term boundaries, where does this concept come from? Susan and I love Dr. Laura. Okay, you ready? Okay, boomer. We like Dr. Laura. Okay, right. Because she's even older than us. But people will call and they'll say, well, I had to set some boundaries. And man, the minute someone says that, what is that? What is a boundary? What does that even mean? And the other thing you can't say to her is don't say I'm toxic. Man, she will just go off on that. I don't know what that means. That's just a pop psychology word. But there was a book written in the 90s from Dr. Cloud and Townsend. They were Christian psychologists. And the name of the book was Boundaries: When to Say Yes and How to Say No to Take Control of Your Life. I meant to bring the copy of mine. But if you were in any kind of probably evangelical church back in the 90s, your small group, your Sunday school class, your women's group, your men's group probably went through the Boundaries book. Anybody read that book? Let's see. Everybody? Okay, good. It was marketed to Christians, but it has really become popular. Almost any counselor or therapist that you see now has kind of incorporated that word and that concept into their practice. And Cloud and Townsend have done really, really, really well. I want you to listen to this. Now they have ones called Beyond Boundaries, Boundaries for Leaders, Boundaries in Dating, Boundaries in Marriage, Boundaries with Kids, Boundaries with Teens, and the newest was Boundaries for the Holidays. I mean, yeah, if one's good, 10 must be really better. Well, what's the book about? What do they say? Well, this is the quote right out of their book. Boundaries define us. They define what is me and what is not me. Boundary shows me where I end up and someone else begins. This leads me to a sense of ownership. Just as homeowners set physical property lines around their land, we need to set the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual boundaries for our lives to help us distinguish what is our responsibility and what isn't. Look, boundaries are personal, physical, emotional limits that we set to safeguard our overall well-being. It's how I govern my relationships. It's how I be in communication and in relationship with others. It is about where I begin and where someone else ends. It is about what's acceptable in our relationship and what is not. We talk a lot about boundaries at the Courage Center. You know why? Because where there's abundance of chaos, there's usually a lack of good, clear boundaries. Sometimes the boundaries are known, but they're unstated out loud. Nathan has started dating a young girl up in Maryland, and she is a Mennonite. And they were having a big party up there, and it was like a whole family was coming. And she said, now remember, Nathan, you know, here's the things, right? No cussing. You can't even say crap, you know. No drinking, no fight, none of these things. And, you know, Nathan's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure. But that's the values of their family. It was stated up front. Now, were they telling him, hey, you can't do any of those things? No. Just like you could have been a bad guest on the firing line, but if you do those things anyway, what's going to happen? You're probably not going to get invited back. We tell parents all the time with their children and their loved ones, hey, the values of your home are important. You get to decide what happens there. Now, can you control that other person? Can you tell them what they can and cannot do? No. What you can say is, hey, the values of our home are you cannot use substances in our home. If you do, there'll be consequences. Hey, I'm not giving you any more money. We had one mom. She came for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, and she loved her child, and he's a great guy, but he had a very, very difficult, very long history with opioid use. And, you know, she bailed him out. She helped him, she sent him money, she did all the things. She was just a mom trying to love her kid, right? We don't shame people, we don't judge people. What we try to do is get them to love their loved one in a way that's more conducive to leading them to recovery. And what she said was we didn't tell her this, but listen to other people. Her son's up in Wisconsin, and he calls and he said, Mom, I'm in Wisconsin and I don't have any shoes. It's going to get cold. The winter's coming. I'm barefoot out here in this cold. Now, old mom would have Venmo'd, Zelled, right then, whatever. Now, she goes, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. That's going to be really tough for you. But I know you're industrious and you're resourceful. You'll figure something out. I love you. Can't wait to see you again. And he's on the phone. You know what he said? Who have you been talking to? Who have you been talking to? She said, honey, I won't be sending you any more money. But I love you, and I know that you'll figure something out. If you're ready to start recovery or you'd like to go someplace to get back on track with that, call me up. We'll figure something out. But I got confidence in you. Right? Setting a boundary is being responsible enough to reduce the access we grant to others based on their ability to be responsible. Based on their ability to be responsible. In this political divide, I don't have to expose myself to people that make me uncomfortable and are irresponsible with my feelings, my emotions, and my heart. I don't have to. But I have to be clear about what is okay and what not is okay. People who are irresponsible with our hearts should not be granted access to our hearts, and the same is true for other kinds of access as well, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. To be in relationship with you, there ought to be respect. To be in relationship with you, you ought to have, a fondness and a kindness. And really where this comes out, it's easy to draw boundaries around people that we don't like. It's easy to draw boundaries with people at work sometimes. Oh, that guy. Yeah. He's in a different group. He's on a different team. He's coming down the hallway. I can shoot into the bathroom real quick. I can go in a conference room. I can hide. Please don't tell me that I have to really sit down with him and be honest and confront him and say, hey, I really don't enjoy being around you because of this reason, this reason, and this reason. See, that takes maturity and guts. We don't like that. That's not fun. It's not easy. It's hard. But when it comes to the family or my friends or people I've known, maybe it's your sorority sister, maybe it's your fraternity brother, and something's happened along the way, and now they've turned into right-wing radical Roger or left-wing loony Lucy. And I'm not talking about slanting one way or the other. I mean, it's like they attack you the minute they see you. They launch into it. The world stinks, regardless of which way you want to go. This election is all about democracy, and the whole world's going to end if this person or that person comes in. It's all they can talk about. And you just go, my God. It's almost like they have a flamethrower, and it just shoots out, and your hair is singed, and it's blown back. I just wanted to see if you wanted to go to Chick-fil-A for lunch. Holy cow. I didn't need all of that. We have to draw some boundaries. We have to communicate what those boundaries are. I hear people all the time, and they'll come to a meeting, they'll come to our family group meeting, and I'll lead the family group meeting once a month in Lexington and once a month some of the other places. Well, they crossed my boundary. Well, that's interesting. I'm sorry to hear that. Did you tell them what your boundary was? Did you tell them what was okay in your home? Well, they should know. How are they supposed to know? Did you tell them? Did you sit down with them? Did you have a conversation? Hey, if you continue to do this, I'm going to have to disengage, or I'm going to have to withdraw my resources, or you're going to have to move out, or you're going to have to stop driving my car that's in my name and in my insurance and you're using. Maybe with Cousin Roger or Uncle Roger and Cousin Lucy, it might be something like, hey, I love you. I'm so glad that you're so civically minded and so passionate about this election and all of these topics. Man, that's awesome. But I just want to be able to have a nice Thanksgiving or a nice Sunday dinner or have a few minutes. I haven't heard how you're doing physically or emotionally. You haven't caught me up on the kids, because every time we talk, you launch into this whole thing and you suck all the oxygen out of the room and you won't stop. I know you're scared. I know you're worried. I know you're concerned. Sure. But it drags me down so much. And I can't bear it. I love you. Man, I'd hate for us to have to disengage, but if this doesn't change, we may have to. That's an adult conversation. It's hard. That is an adult conversation. What are boundaries not? They're not rules. They're not telling people what they can and can't do. It's not trying to control someone else's behavior. I can't control someone else's behavior. I learned that a long time ago. People walk in the door at the Courage Center and they're like, hey, we're here for Randy, for you to tell us how to get our loved one to stop using. I tell people all the time, if I had that answer, I promise you I would not be the executive director of some small nonprofit in the Midlands. I would have already written the book. I probably would have done like Cloud and Townsend, written 4 after books. I would have done the TED Talks. I'd have been everywhere. Susan and I'd be living in the Keys right now. Be done. I don't have that answer, that magic answer, how to make your loved one stop using. That's just not the way it is. I also don't have the magic answer to how to make Uncle Roger and Cousin Lucy stop what they're doing. We can't. We can't control other people's behavior. We had a mom, when her son would spin out of control, he would ruminate, he would get focused on something. It would be just like Roger and Lucy. He'd call and he'd immediately launch into his thing that he was really concerned about. I mean, 15, 20 minutes, not even take a breath. And finally, this mom says to him, honey, I know and I can tell that you're dysregulated. And I know that you're really worried about this and you're really, focused on this. But I can't answer your phone call 20 times a day. I have to work. I have a job. I have responsibilities. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to my company, and it's not fair to the other people in my life that I want to spend time with. And you can't dominate my life like that. Now, she didn't say you can't call me 15, 20 times a day. Because, man, on those phones now, I can just keep hitting it. I can call her 100 times in a day. It's easy. But what she said was, I will take a call from you between 1 and 2. I will take a call from you between 1. Now, he called at 1, and at 1:30 when she told him she had to go, he said, well, you told me between 1 and 2. He wanted the whole hour. That's a good boundary. That is a good boundary. It's about what you will do, how you're going to engage with the other person. Hey, maybe you have to tell Roger and Lucy, look, I love you. That will never change. You're part of our family. You've always been good to me. And I don't know what's happened, but I'm not going to answer those emails and texts and all the stuff that you're posting on Facebook every single day. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to mute you for a while. You know? Doesn't change how much I care about you. It doesn't change who you are and how our family. But man, this is just not what I'm willing to do. Now, if it's good civil conversation you're talking about, maybe you like that. See, boundaries are going to be different. A boundary for one person might be okay for somebody else. That's up for you to decide. But that's the thing about boundaries. It defines the relationship between you and that other person and the parameters for which is going to be okay. The boundaries need to be communicated, and the boundaries have consequences if they're broken. Well, what do you mean about consequences? You're going to take out, you're going to ban somebody from your house? I might tell them, hey, I'm just going to have to disengage from you for a while. That's hard. Because these are people, this isn't usually somebody that we don't care about. Because if it's somebody we don't care about, I have no problem. I tell parents all the time, if somebody that you didn't know or really didn't care about came in your house and did all of these things, would you stand for that? No. Throw them out. We do all these things. But you let your child, or you let your brother, or you let your other loved one come in. I got this one thing, and Lord bless him. When Nathan comes, my son is 6'5". My other one's like my size, 5'10". He's over here. Nathan's 6'5", 250 pounds. He's got size, 13 feet? And he will come and he's laying around like, he's moved out. This is a grown man in my house. And he comes in and acts like he's like 13 again and lays on my couch with them size 13 shoes. It drives me absolutely crazy. Dude, get your feet off my couch. Get your feet off my couch. I would never, nobody else would even get to that point. If you came over to my house, I don't really know that well, the minute you started to stretch, I'd be like, whoa, what are you doing? Dude, chill. But because it's the person I love and he's my son and all these things, you kind of go, no, don't put it. And then I sit there and go, do I really want to say anything? I hadn't seen him in a while, I hadn't been here in a while. And I'm over there agonizing, looking at them size 13 Air Force Ones on my couch. He don't even know anything's wrong. But I'm dying inside, Get your feet off my couch. Here's the other thing, right? Here's the other thing. Y'all ready for this? So some of you really need to hear this. This is going to be shocking. You might, when you get home, scratch your head and go, I didn't really think this was possible. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. Hey, can you come over here and do this? No, I'm sorry, I can't. Hey, will you loan me money? No, I'm sorry, I won't. You do know if your family, you want me to give you a little tip? This is a Dave Ramsey or somebody tip. Okay, boomer, right, you go. If somebody in your family asks for money, just do the most you can give and then just write it off. You will never get that back. You do know that, right? It's not a loan. If you give them money, it is a gift. And if you know that and you feel better about that, now I'm not walking around going, they owe me. I gave them a gift. Man, what's that word? How magnanimous of me. But no is a complete sentence. No, you cannot drink in my house or use drugs in my house. And if you do, I will ask you to leave. No. if you treat me that way, I will have to disengage from you. We have family members come all the time say, they can't talk to me that way. Sure they can. They can say anything they want. But you can tell them that no, if you continue to treat me without respect and you continue to treat me in a way when I've told you that this hurts me, that tells me a lot about our relationship, doesn't it? That tells me how you value me, how important I am to you. Why do people put up with that? Why do we struggle to say no? Why do we struggle to say no? Look, some of us were fortunate. How am I doing on time? Some of us were fortunate that we grew up in a house where our family was healthy. And they knew that part of their job was to launch us into life and launch us into where we knew what limits were. And we had guidelines and we had boundaries. And we grew up healthy. And their goal was for us to develop as individuals and have our own self-image and our own self-respect. Some of us, though, grew up in families where that was not the case. Maybe there was chaos. Maybe there was dysfunction. Maybe there was addiction. And instead of launching us to be emotionally healthy on our own, our families needed us to be there to emotionally support them. So what happens when we're young and that happens? When I'm young and I'm small and I'm an infant, I need my parents. I need them to provide for me. I need for them to provide safety for me. I need for them to cook and put food on the table and provide shelter. And if I realize that they need me to provide emotional support, and that's what it's going to take for me to be safe, and that's what it's going to take for me to have access to those resources, guess what I will learn to do? Emotionally support them. What I learned, it's not safe for me to say no. It's not safe for me to tell somebody no. And I become a people pleaser, and I become someone that cannot tell anybody no. Is that you? I guarantee you there's somebody in here, that's your story of your life. And you've let people run all over you because it was never safe for you to say no. And it was never safe for you to stand up for your own self. And everybody that you see your mom or you see your dad who you had to emotionally support and you had to fill in and there was enmeshment. Man, what a mind trip that is. And what that does, it gets us to a place where we're afraid to tell somebody no. We don't tell someone no out of fear. We say we're going to do these things, then we change our mind at the last minute. We have to have them like us or love us, or we feel guilt that we even would draw a boundary and tell that person in my life no. I'll pick on Susan for just 1 second. Susan was adopted. When she was born, she was held by her mother, her birth mother, for a little bit of time. Then she was handed off to a foster place, and then she was handed off to another foster place. And finally, by the time her adoptive mom gets her, there's no telling how many people had picked her up and held her. So what she learned was that I can be passed around, and I can be pawned off, and I can be rejected. So she struggled to tell people no, struggled for a fear of rejection. But we read this book and we started growing a little bit, really as part of Nathan's journey and his recovery. Look, we're better people. Susan and I are better people, stronger people, healthier people because my son had a substance use disorder. I have more empathy. I have more grace. I have more mercy. I'm a better person today because of my son's sickness. And she read that book on boundaries, and we talked about trying to build some new boundaries. And on the way back from his first treatment place, the phone rang, and it was a new job opportunity for her. And here we were driving back on Sunday after dropping our kid off in treatment in Searcy, Arkansas. And they said, hey, we want you to set up this interview. Can you do it tomorrow? Old Susan, no matter what time we got back in the middle of the night, would have said, absolutely. Yeah, we'll make it work. Yes. I don't know that I've ever been as proud of my wife for her to be on that phone and she goes, I'm sorry. Tomorrow is not going to work for me. I have some family commitments. And you know what they said? Oh, that's all right. Hey, how about Wednesday? Could you do it Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday would be fine. Now, there's some of you sitting out there and listening, you're going, that was no big deal. It was earth moving for us. Earth moving for us. Some of you, me included, pointing back at myself, some of you need to set some boundaries, not just with Radical Roger and Loony Lucy. Some of you need to set some boundaries with your your origin family. You know why? Because your spouse, your kids are suffering because you will not tell your mom, your dad, your family no. A few years ago, my mom, we had a family Christmas, and I only know how to coach and teach sometimes out of my lived experience. Sometimes after I do all this stuff, I wonder, when I teach family classes, I give so many of my own examples, I wonder sometimes what those people think. I hope that guy's in therapy. Whew. My family was very dysfunctional, and my sisters had substance use disorder, bunches, all kind of stuff. One year she came, I'm not sure what the deal was. She was on something sweating, and she came with her kids and her ex. She's adopted her. She came with her kids, and her ex was there. The ex would bring the kids because she didn't have custody of the kids. The ex would bring them, and somehow it comes out he has a gun. Then her and my brother, there's all kind of back history there. And that one night, he had a gun. My sister and brother get into, this is Christmas now. Did I mention that part again? They get into something. There's a physical altercation. My mom passes out on the floor. Susan has to lay over, bleed the blood of Christ. Shanice, you know all about that, right? She's bleeding. She's praying the blood of Jesus and calling down the Holy Spirit to keep my mom alive. And the EMS comes, and about, I don't remember how much, 6 months earlier, my stepfather had passed away. It's the same EMS guys who's coming to this house, or my stepfather passed away. I know what they must have been thinking when they're driving up. 3 or 4 months later, I call my mom, and I said, Mom, I know how desperate you are for us to be together in one as a family. Who wouldn't? I know you want your kids to love each other. I know you want us all to be together. But I got to tell you, I'm not coming again if you try to put all of that together again. I'll come have Christmas with you. I'll have Christmas with you and my brother. I love my sister. I pray for her. But she's not safe. She's not safe for me. She's not safe for my family. And it's unfair for you to try to mush us together because we're not healthy together. I can't imagine how this is going to break your heart. I know that. But I have to take care of my family. I'm not doing that again. Now, at the Courage Center, we teach something called the broken record technique. Broken record. Y'all remember what records are? Okay, boomer. If you got a scratch on the record and the record player would keep jumping, what would it do? Skip back to where? Where it was, and play the same thing over and over and over again. So at the Courage Center, we teach this called the broken record technique. If I want to set a boundary with someone, the first thing I do is with empathy, talk to them about how this is going to impact them and understanding. Now let me tell you this. When I tell you this, if you can't look with right-wing Roger and left-wing Lucy, if you can't look at them with empathy, maybe someone's having a conversation about you not coming to Thanksgiving. Okay? Think about it. If you can't put yourself in their shoes, if you can't take on their perspective, if you can't understand why this is so important to them, if you can't understand their history and what they've been through and look at them with empathy, maybe they're not the problem. Maybe the family's sitting there going, I hope we don't have this person come at Thanksgiving. With empathy, hey, Mom, I know this is going to break your heart. And then the boundary, I'm not coming if you try to put all of us together. Now, Usually we tell parents and tell folks, you give them the reason, one reason why. If they call you again, you repeat it. If they call you again, you repeat it. If they call you again, repeat it. That's the broken record. I keep going back. We talked about this. This is not healthy. This is why we're not coming into that situation for Christ. I love you. That's never going to change. I'm praying for my sister, but I'm not putting my family through that again. And after 3 times of the broken record, if they keep calling back then, that's when you disengage. So if you have to go to Roger and say, Roger, I understand. I know why. I get it. You know, patriotism, love your country. I get all of that. You hate to see some of the things that are changing. I get that. I know that. But it's gotten to the point where I don't enjoy our time together whatsoever. And I'm a terrible person after we get together. I'm in a bad mood, and that's not good for my spouse. It's not good for my kids. I'm in a bad mood on Monday after we see each other. So if next time, let's talk about Clemson football, Carolina football. Let's talk about, hey, what'd you see on YouTube that was fun and exciting? You know, I watch cooking shows. You know, it's me. It's simple, right? Tell them once, repeat it in a kind way, pass the potatoes, but mean what you say what you mean, just don't say it mean. You tell them again, you tell them for the 3rd time. After the 3rd time, if they won't stop, hey, look, they've lost the right to railroad you. And it's time to say, this is not going to work, okay? Good relationships require good boundaries. Good relationships require good boundaries. I used to travel a lot, and I used to go to India a few times a year. And, it was really, I don't remember how many hours I would be, but so I would call Susan, like when I would get back, getting ready, we'd take a break before we'd go to dinner. I would call her like 4:30 in the afternoon, India time. It'd be 7 in the morning here. So here I was getting ready to go eat dinner. Susan is basically waking up out of the bed, right? And she's talking about breakfast and things like that. There was a great distance between us. Now listen, I could call her on the very same day. We could have been talking real time. I could have told her, said, hey, look, I'm about to watch the sunset here. Hey, watch the sunset with me. She can't watch the sunset. It's 7:30 in the morning. And unless I travel great distances or she travels great distances, we are not in the same place. That might be the way it is with your loved one or your friend. Does that mean they're a bad person? No. Does that mean you don't care about them? No. But what that means is if one of us don't travel a great distance to connect to the other, well, there's no way that we're going to be on the same page about where they are. Just admit it and saying, that's okay. That's okay. A few weeks ago, I'm a Reddit fan. Anybody like Reddit? And I saw this thing somebody posted, and it was a voter participation guide thing. And when I saw it, my heart was first off like put out by a church, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so bad. And I opened it up, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I sent just the link, and I sent it to Nick. And Nick said, oh, man, when you first sent that to me. I go, I know, I felt the same way. My stomach was all in turn going, oh, my gosh, what did these people put out? This is what it said. As you approach this election and political season, let this guide you as a follower of Christ. Number 1, I will commit to Jesus and his way over any political candidate or party. Number 2, I will respect others as made in the image of God, and I will not demonize those I disagree with or who disagree with me. Number 3, I will use social media to reflect Jesus first, my opinion second. I'll filter my political participation through my love for God and my love for my neighbor. No matter the outcome of this election, I will trust God with the future. Last one. I recognize that in our church and in my world, I can love people, they can love God, and we can vote differently. Church, that's what I want to be. I want to be a church that recognizes that we have people that come from all these different places, all these different backgrounds. We lean different ways. But the thing that centers us and the thing that keeps us grounded is we are committed to being followers of Jesus Christ, loving Him and loving others. And man, if we keep that at the forefront, we'll make it through this election no matter who wins. God's got this, okay? Y'all stand and I'll give us a benediction. May the beauty of God be reflected in your eyes, the love of God be reflected in your hands, the wisdom of God be reflected in your words, and the knowledge of God flow from your heart so that all might see, and by seeing, believe. Go in His peace.